Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and family around the world, it is unfortunately that time where we are hitting the final run of the day. But fortunately for you, it is about to be an excellent one to finish on. This is going to be The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, run on the Nintendo Wii. This is Aragorn Easy, and it is run by our very good friend, Zojalyx. Mr. Zojalyx, please take it away.
Hey, SpiderRuns, welcome to The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. This is my main speed game in the same way that, like Sappy said, that Spy vs. Spy is his favorite game to speedrun. This is my personal favorite game to speedrun, and I am very excited to show this game off. We're going to be playing on the Wii version, which is the GameCube version. To start off, we're going to be loading, this is our already completed save file. We are going to be saving it. This is a GameCube exclusive thing that we can do, and it will allow us to skip all of the FMV cutscenes within the run, saving around like 10 to 11 minutes. It's kind of huge. So with that, timer will start once I skip this first cutscene. So I will give a countdown, and then we will get going here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so immediately right away, we are going to have to do something very difficult. We are going to have to count in an auto-scroller. So first off, we have about 45 seconds to chill, so I'll try and explain everything that we can throughout this auto-scroller. What we're going to be doing is we are going to have to get around 6 to 7 perfects. How that's going to work is down in the bottom left corner, there is this damage meter that you will see that will fill up in a circle. Once that damage meter is all the way filled up, we will enter perfect mode. Perfect mode will help us do the maximum amount of melee damage, as well as it will give us the most amount of EXP possible. So we are going to want to do everything that we possibly can to get to that. Get to perfect mode and then get the amount of perfects that we need. We do this by doing Isildur's Judgment, which is YYXY on my control stick, or on my controller. And that is a combination of various attacks to do that. Now we are immediately getting a ton of perfects. I haven't been counting, so here's hoping I did this right. I'm going to get about 3 more, and then, actually, I think I'm going to get 2 more, and then we should be good to go. So that's about all that we need. So we're going to sit here in the corner. We're going to let the rest of this auto-scroller play out. We're hoping for about 1,000 EXP. A lot of the routing that you are going to be seeing in this run is going to be involving utilizing our various combo attacks and things like that to get the maximum amount of EXP while minimizing the amount of kills. Because at the very end of each level, there is a result screen that comes on that we have to get through that result screen. And the more kills we have, the longer that result screen goes. So you're going to be seeing a lot of that EXP optimization throughout the entirety of this run while we try and get through every single level as quickly as possible. So that Isildur's Judgment is a way that we do that. Now, in this first level, we're playing as Isildur. This is kind of like the tutorial level. The Aragorn category is the only level that does include this prologue. The other characters, Legolas and Gimli, do not include this prologue level, and the next level that we will be doing, which is Weathertop. So throughout this run, there are going to be a bunch of different kills that you're going to be seeing show up in the bottom corner. That's going to be fair, good, excellent, and perfect. I talked about doing a lot of damage to fill up that meter. Another thing that also affects that meter is being able to do damage without getting hit. So if I get hit, that damage meter then drains away. So you're going to be seeing me try to not only do damage quickly, but then also avoid taking a ton of damage. It is a very advanced way of doing this. The run is very, very precise in this way because of the different ways that we have to utilize these abilities while also trying really, really hard not to get hit. And so it ends up being a very difficult mastery of this speedrun. This speedrun is very easy to learn, but getting to the point where I have, there's a lot of things that you have to be paying attention to while you are going throughout the run to try and actually do it as quickly as possible. But thankfully, our auto-scroller is now over, and we are going to be finishing the level up here. Here's going to be our results screen. Boom, we got all the EXP that we needed, so we can keep going and continue to speed through the run. Next thing that we have here is Weathertop. We're going to be fighting some ring wraiths. We start off by using our fierce attack in a very specific rhythm to make sure that we are taking them out quickly, but we also do not want to get into perfect mode too fast, because if we get into perfect mode too fast, then we will be advancing, then we'll be the end of the level will be very difficult. But since we didn't hit perfect mode too early, we can just spam our fierce attacks here, get into perfect mode, and then that will then set us up for the end of the level with these last 2 ring wraiths. Normally, if we were doing this without, if we got into perfect mode at the wrong time, then our ability to finish the level quickly will become so much more difficult. But since we're in perfect mode, 2 hits take out these ring wraiths, and that's going to be ending this level. This is the shortest level in the run, so we finish that up, and now we can just move on to the next level. We are going to be purchasing some abilities at the end of this level once we get into at the end of this next level, which is Gates of Moria. At the end of every single level from here on out, we will have the ability to purchase a bunch of different abilities. So Gates of Moria is the first level in the run where we get to choose different characters, but since we are playing as Aragorn, we are just going to be continuing to play as Aragorn throughout the entirety of the run. So what we are going to be doing immediately right away is this box is going to have a little EXP pickup. We're just going to pick that up because it automatically applies the EXP at the end of the level rather than having it go through that kill tally, that result screen at the end of the level. So by doing that, we can now just run to the end of the level. Now, normally you would be like, oh, well, runner, you're just going all the way to the end of the level, so there can't be that much of interesting things going on throughout this level if you're just running to the end. Well, that actually ends up not being the case, because there are going to be enemies that not only that we have to juke around and avoid, but also we have to try and not get a lot of EXP. So we're actually going to be avoiding fighting majority of these enemies. If at all possible, we would like to get through without getting any kills, but obviously that can't always be the case. And this is where the game kind of becomes a lot more precise than what the naked eye would look like, because we have to try and be aware of enemies' movements, analyzing enemy patterns, and trying to adapt on the fly to every possible situation that we might be arising to. And so RNG becomes an obnoxious factor throughout this run. And being able to adapt to the little bits of RNG that you have to deal with is a key factor to this run. Now we have this long lake. We are avoiding going into the water, because if we go into the water, Aragorn will be doing this sort of weird running animation, and we don't want him to do that running animation because that slows us down. And so we want to do every little bit possible to just get through the level quickly. And so avoiding areas where the game does a forceful slowdown is a key factor to going fast. So now in this fight is another big portion of RNG. We have to parry these tentacles, slash them, and then shoot the boss as soon as he pops up out of the water. Once he does that, we can shoot him, he will go back down, and then we wait for more tentacles. We had really good RNG to start, but an unfortunate pattern later on, but thankfully, no big deal. Boss gets taken down in just a few shots. And that will now end Gates of Moria. As you can tell, we are going to be blitzing through a lot of these levels very, very quickly. So if you have any questions at all, I can see chat. I keep glancing over to it like I'm some sort of streamer or something. But you guys will definitely, any questions that you can have throughout the run, please do feel free to post them in chat. And I would love to answer them as best as possible. So now that we have finished up Gates of Moria, we're going to be going into Balin's Tomb. This is a level that to the naked eye, it might feel like an auto-scroller, but it actually very much is not. This is going to be a major portion of EXP grinding throughout this run, and so we are going to be utilizing it as much as possible. We are putting ourselves into perfect mode because we purchased the ability Isildur's Swift Terror in that last upgrade screen, and so when we purchased that then gave us an ability which is AAY on our GameCube controller, and that will then get us into perfect mode quickly, and then we can use our bow to dispatch enemies quickly, which is the reason where this level actually does not become an auto-scroller, though it may feel like one, because this level will advance for some specific point, one that we do not know how or what causes this level to advance in this way. But by doing this, we then can get through the game very quickly by get through the level quickly, as well as, like I had mentioned earlier, maximize the EXP output that we get. So you're probably wondering, there's obviously various combos and how we use them. They all kind of boil down to actually be pretty simple, and that is, there is pressing the A button on our controller will do a speed attack, which is a fast attack, doesn't do as much damage, but is fast and does not affect shielded enemies. Now there is our fierce attack, which is the secondary style of attack, and that one is a slower, more powerful attack that also will break shields. And by using them by using these two main attacks in various combinations, then we can get ourselves into perfect mode, executing these various combos and doing a bunch of damage and getting as much EXP as possible with what you're seeing here in by getting me into perfect mode quickly. Now, another piece of tech that we are going to be using is jump back canceling. There are actually a few areas in this game where you can do some animation cancels, and we do that through the use of jump backs at the end of specific animations, and we can also do a parry cancel to cancel out some specific animations. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That will finish that fight. Whoops. That finishes this phase of the fight by doing a very specific rhythm of fierce attacks, and then also gets us into perfect mode, and we kill the troll quickly. That fight, kind of hard to explain in the moment because it's just kind of a blink and you miss it kind of fight. But also, you can see the power of the EXP optimizations that we have. Because of all of the EXP that we got, we managed to not only get through the level quickly, but now we have a lot of EXP, so we are level 4. And we get a few more abilities. We get a bow upgrade, we get Rohan bow, and then we also get rising attack, which will allow us to do a quick attack to get up if we get knocked down, and we get our one and only health upgrade throughout this run. And now from here, we go into Amon Hen. Amon Hen is a level that is one that can be a huge struggle point for newer runners and even for some experienced runners. And the reason for that is because there are these Uruk-hai scouts. You are going to be seeing them do this very specific attack that is extraordinarily annoying to deal with, because what happens is the Uruk-hais do this overhead swing. And when they do that overhead swing, if we get hit by it, we will get knocked down. But not only is it an attack that will knock us down if we do get hit by it, it also is one that cannot be just strictly like animation canceled. So it is one that in order to deal with it, we actually have to stop and parry it. And another part of it, with it being an uninterruptible attack, is enemies also have a super armor when they are using that attack. So normally, thanks to the Rohan bow, if we are in perfect mode, we normally do a bunch of one-shots, but unfortunately, because of the super armor attack that these Uruk-hai have, if they are doing that attack, then we cannot one-shot them because of their wonderful super armor that we get to deal with, which then makes our lives a lot more difficult, and this is where this level becomes the difficulty spike that it is in the run and the major reset point, because we have to be paying attention to how each of these enemies utilize their various attacks and then react accordingly. And so that's where, and another reason why we have to deal with these enemies, because like I talked about, we want to get as minimal EXP as possible while still getting through levels as quickly as possible. Well, in this level, you see up in the top right corner is that Uruk-hai number. We have to defeat that many numbers, that many enemies in order to advance. Well, that's never happened before. Huh. Uh-huh. Well, I guess if there's gonna be a first time for anything, it's gonna be a first time for, I guess, a crash in the run. Alright, game. Oops, not new game. Alright, so we're just gonna get back into that level. Hopefully we don't experience that crash again. Thankfully, though, I do have saves set up for each level, so we can just load back into Amon Hen right away and carry off as if nothing ever happened. So it's fine. I've never had, in all of my years, I've been running this game since 2018. I have never experienced a crash like that before, where the game just drops and freezes. So that's fun. Well, at least now I get a bit of a chance to breathe here. That was an experience. So I'm going to kind of lock in and focus for a moment to try and just get through this level super quickly. I'm hoping it goes well. It's already going significantly better than the first attempt did. This is, so I can give, I guess, a little bit more lore on the level Amon Hen, because we get to see it twice. This is a level that has been probably rerouted the most out of any level in the run. And even with the amount of times that this level has been rerouted, we still don't have like a set of definitive strats that are considered to be the most consistent. There's still a ton of strats and things that we are continually learning and finding out about this run and continuing to rework this level. So this level had a big set of strats that were used by a former world record holder named 7swagmuffin7, and then those strats were then revamped by myself, and then they were revamped again by another runner named Rylan Hand, and then they were revamped by me, and then they were revamped by me like 2 or 3 other times, and even still, with all of the revamps that keep happening in this level, I'm sure there's probably some other way we can do things more efficiently. So, kind of a fun little tidbit of lore there is that this level continues to find new ways to be innovated and changed, and there are a few people that we use that I really have been trying to get to do more with this run. Can I explain the jump back animations cancel in more detail? Yeah, so in this run, there is a button that we use. If I press Z, I will do like a jump back animation. And at any point in any of my combos, there's only one attack that if I am doing that I can't just hit that jump back animation and skip. And so it's hard to kind of like show off because it's only usable it's very situational on when you use it. But the main area that you will see me use it is when I am doing specific in specific situations where I'm doing like in Isildur's Swift Terror or in Isildur's Judgment, and I got to get out of that situation quickly. Now, we're fighting Lurtz. First phase, we're going to do 4 shots on him. Second phase, he's going to pull out his sword. I'm going to position myself over by this statue here. He's going to hit the statue and get stuck. We're going to do a Swift Terror. I'm going to be slightly mistimed on my Ranger Fury, but I can kick him to another Ranger Fury and finish him off. Now, normally the strat would work where I would kill him when he's still on the statue, but unfortunately, the timing for that is very difficult to be able to actually like get that consistent. But still, we got a very fast fight, and we definitely will take that. Now we're just gonna go through this, get a ton of EXP again, and then we are going to move on to Fangorn Forest. Fangorn is my personal favorite level. There are a ton of really, really cool strats that we will use throughout this level. And its main reason why it's my favorite is because the tech in it is just really, really good. So I'm hoping that I can show off a lot of the tech. I'm kind of in like this weird state of panic after the crash, but we will see what happens. So we're going to be starting off by jumping into this first fight here where there's going to be some goblins. Quick little Ranger Fury will take them out, and then we're going to Ranger Fury again because that takes out a ton of enemies. Ranger Fury is a very, very strong ability. It is one that we use a ton. And all it is just pressing and holding the Y button. And so we utilize it in a ton of different areas. And then it becomes a very, very versatile ability. Now we are introduced to Wood Trolls. Wood Trolls are interesting. They have more armor than the Cave Troll that we fought in Balin's Tomb, and they are invulnerable to ranged attacks. So when we take them out by doing 5 of our up swings that we did in Balin's Tomb, which is like 1 fierce attack but not a full fierce attack combo, and then we utilize Ranger Fury to take out the troll. Now, you're probably wondering, but streamer, why didn't you use Ranger Fury on the Cave Troll? Because you bought it at the end of Gates of Moria. Good question. The reason why we don't use it in Balin's Tomb is because in Balin's Tomb there's 2 phases for that Cave Troll, and so we are wanting to be able to utilize perfect mode for the second phase to take it out fast. Whereas for the Wood Trolls, they don't have a second phase. So we can just go and take them out quickly by doing that. Now, for Hun, who was asking about the animation skip in more detail, you'll actually see it used quite a bit, not in this upcoming fight, but in the final fight in this level. So we're going to first take out this Berserker, and then we're going to go do this really obnoxious Horde fight that very rarely goes well in a run, because it is very difficult to try and execute properly. And if it goes well, we will take out all of these enemies with a series of Ranger Furies, and we're already off to a rough start. I'm probably just going to immediately pivot into perfect mode strats. But normally we would do this fight significantly faster by just utilizing our Ranger Furies, but actually, wow, that was a really good fight with perfect mode strats. So that's really good. I will definitely take that. Okay, now for this fight, this is where you will see the animation canceling in the jump back canceling in very much a good, strong detail. So we're going to do 2 fierce attacks. The moment the second fierce attack hits the ground, then we hit the jump back button. That puts us into perfect mode, and then we can finish off that fight quickly and take out those 2 trolls. And since we got a ton of EXP but didn't do a lot of kills, we're actually going to be jumping from level 5 to level 7, which is really, really good because we are going to be level 6 going into the next level, which is Plains of Rohan, and having level 6 gives us Master Swordsman, which just is an overall damage increase, allowing us to do a bunch more damage. But we're already at a point where we're actually going to be almost done with our upgrading. We can get all the upgrades that we need just by hitting level 8. So, again, huge moment where we can just save a bunch of time. The earlier we get to level 8, the less menuing we have to do later on. So that's always really nice. But at the same time, we don't want to just power level to level 8 because that takes a ton of time. And the amount of time that you would save by getting to level 8 early is not enough of a time save to justify power leveling super early. So we're going to take these guys out, not quite get into perfect mode, which is a little unfortunate because this next fight would go a lot faster if we were running into it in perfect mode, but that's another area where the RNG can kind of be a factor. So we're just going to do a couple kills here, get into perfect mode to finish off these guys. Grab this little EXP pickup. Wait for Gandalf to open this door. Gandalf's going to take his sweet time opening the door. But now we can run through the door, trigger the next cutscene, as well as the gimmick for this level. Up in the top right corner, you're going to see this villager meter. The enemies will be trying to take out the villagers. And so if they do, then we will fail the level. And so we have a few ways that we can actually tackle this level. The first way is to take the time to do fights and to get through the level quickly. The second way that we can do it is to just try and blitz through the level as quickly as possible and hopefully not have all of the enemies and hopefully not have us be in a situation where life becomes very difficult and we don't do things fast. But thankfully, we have figured out ways to do a lot of these secondary and required fights so much faster that we can actually just blitz through the level without having to worry too much about enemies being a problem. And so now that we've taken out all these enemies, I'm going to have an incredible 2-fire section there and bring us into the last fight in this level. So what's going to happen is in this final fight, there's going to be a poor little couple that is going to get sent into a burning building. They're going to have their own separate health bar. If that separate health bar drains, then we will fail the level regardless of what our meter is at. But if we get them out, then they will just become other regular members of the level. But it actually has been proven to be faster to take the time to take out all of the other enemies first and then release the villagers. Because it will end the level faster than if we wait until we kill all of the enemies. Because the game will run a check. The game will run a check if the enemies have been all defeated and if the villagers have been freed. For some reason, it does the check for the enemies second. So if you can manipulate the game to do the check for the enemies first, then you will be good. So we hit level 8. We're going to get our final chunk of upgrades. We're going to get Isildur's Judgment back. We're going to get Wrath of Numenor, which is our most upgraded Ranger Fury. And then we're going to get Gondor Bow. So now we are as set up as we possibly can be. All we have to do now is just blitz through the end of the level, or the end of the game, which we only have about 5 more levels left in the run. And you're probably like, yo, you're getting through this really fast for your estimate, even with the crash. We'll explain how that's going to happen here in just a little bit once we get through not this level, but the next level. This level is going to introduce a fun new mechanic. Things are going to explode. And what happens with explosions? That is health draining really, really quickly. And so we actually are going to be doing some very particular things to make sure that we get through the level quickly and utilizing the explosions to kill enemies. Because if you use the explosions, that was a fun little voice crack there. If you use the explosions, well, you actually don't get EXP for enemies that are killed with the explosions. So by utilizing the explosions where we can actually get through the level much quicker than if we were not utilizing the explosions. So by doing that, we just go through and get through the level quickly. But a fun part with explosions is our health will drain super fast. And so we actually have to be very careful with this level when we are moving through it. If we take a bunch of damage from the explosions, we can die. And a death in this game is very punishing. Normally in most games you would have like some sort of a checkpoint system. Two Towers just says, nah, if you die, you're going all the way back to the start of the level. And so it can actually become very punishing to take deaths. So as much as we possibly can avoid it, we want to avoid taking deaths. Obviously, because, you know, dying is slow. And so we're actually already to the last section in this level. We just have to go to that cart that you see there with all of those explosives and take it out. So we're going to do that by jumping backwards through this long portion of water, because that is actually much, much faster to do that than it is to than it is to just walk. And then, with holding a very specific angle, we can shoot the cart, finishing the level early.
Those few of us able to fight, march for Helm's Deep. There the future of Rohan shall live or die.
And now we wait for this cutscene, and then we will go into the second shortest level in the run, which is Gap of Rohan. Gap of Rohan is going to be 2 fights. It's going to be fighting some wargs and then the boss. Nice and simple, nothing too crazy to worry about. All we have to do is do a few cool strats and take out the enemies. So, it's great. We love it. So, in this level, we have these enemies we have to take out. These wargs are going to spawn. We're going to take them out quickly by doing a Wrath of Numenor or a Ranger's Fury, which is just pressing and holding the Y button. So we're just going to press and hold it. The wargs are going to charge us, and then they're going to die. Now, the boss fight portion of this level is a little bit more difficult. There's going to be a very specific strat that we are going to be going for. This is one that was discovered by a runner named Bloody Lifetime, but it was optimized by myself. So these guys are going to charge. We're going to quick juke away from this guy. I'm going to get shot, and that's going to immediately ruin the strat. And that is where that strat becomes very RNG dependent, because you have to kind of play off how the wargs will move in order for you to get perfect mode and taking them out quickly. But since we got extraordinarily unlucky and we got shot, we didn't get to execute the strat in the best way possible. But for this strat, we're just going to shoot Sharku, run over by his leg, do a Ranger's Fury, and take him down. Thus, the Sharku one-shot. And now we have only 3 levels left in the run. We have Helm's Deep Deeping Wall, Helm's Deep Breached Wall, and Helm's Deep Hornburg Courtyard. These are all the 3 longest levels in the run. This first level here, Helm's Deep Deeping Wall, is going to be a 8-minute autoscroller. This is the biggest thing that us as a community are like, please can we get rid of this run? Because all it does is this game, for what we have found, is that this level runs on a timer, and it is an 8-minute timer. And so the only way that we can save or lose time is by killing enemies or not killing enemies, which of course becomes a little bit scary, because when you look up at the top right corner of the screen, you will see our Urukai meter. That meter is, or the reinforcement meter, that meter is one that will raise or drain as the enemies come up onto the wall. If it gets overwhelmed and we get overrun, then we lose the level and we have to start the wonderful level all over again. And that is not fun. So, what we then do instead is to try and hopefully get through this level a lot better. And hopefully RNG works out in our favor. Thankfully, because we were playing on easy, RNG becomes a lot less of a factor than it does on a higher difficulty level, higher difficulty category like normal or expert. On the expert, if you watch, there is a category extension that we have called All Achievements, which is running through this game and trying to get all achievements for the retro achievements. And by doing that, what ends up happening is we get through... we have to do all of these levels on the hardest difficulty. And so by doing that, these levels become very difficult, especially because you have to do it with every single character. And so the run can be a struggle. I spent a ton of time on these levels in my All Achievements run. I've only done the run once. I plan on coming back to it at some point because I do want to get a better time. Because it's not a great time right now. It's about 6 hours, and the run can go down by a significant margin, but it requires like a ton of routing and things that I just didn't do in the moment. So yeah, I might start that project up here soon once I get the time that I want in Return of the King 80%, which I'll be running a different Return of the King 80% tomorrow, actually, for this category, around 1 p.m. Mountain Time or 3 p.m. Eastern, I believe is the actual time. I don't remember exactly what it is, but you can check out the schedule currently pinned in chat. So, yeah, if you guys aren't familiar with who I am, hello, I'm Zojalyx. You've been listening to me yap for the last 35 minutes. I am a... my primary series of games that I do run is The Lord of the Rings, and the secondary series that I run the most of is Spider-Man. I am a moderator for the Spider-Man 2000 leaderboard, which I know we have a ton of people from the Spider-Man 2000 community that are running in this event, which is really cool. You guys are incredible when it comes to events. But I also run the Insomniac Spider-Man games. Those are probably my main Spider-Man games that I run. But Spider-Man 2000 does have a place in my heart as being my childhood game. I have a sub 30 in any percent on PlayStation, which was an incredible achievement for me to get. I'm not cracked at Spider-Man 2000 like Spyran or Sodalier or... Well, actually, I bopped Fetty, so maybe I'm more cracked than Fetty. So I guess I can't actually claim that now, which is hilarious. But anyway... I'm not that cracked at the game, but I am proud of the achievements that I've been able to make in just the little bit of time that I've ran the game. I love the Spider-Man community, and my home is and forever will be the Lord of the Rings series. If you look at my speedrun.com series, speedrun.com page, I speedrun a ton of Lord of the Rings games. Anything from the early 2000s games like this one to as late as Shadow of Mordor, and I will be eventually at some point diving into Shadow of War. So that will be really, really fun to speedrun. I'm very excited to do that. I've also been doing on stream has been a Lord of the Rings Online permadeath challenge, which is where I'm trying to play through Lord of the Rings Online in a harder difficulty, because on Lord of the Rings Online you can do that and get through all of the content that is available and get to the level cap without dying. If I die, I will have to delete my character. So, yeah. Oh, Fetty's in chat! Yo! Fetty's in chat as I am just absolutely roasting him. Love you so much, Fetty. But also, huge shout-outs to Fetty. I would have never come back to Spider-Man 2000 had he not randomly raided me while I was doing a Spider-Man 2018 run and said that he was coming for my record. And then immediately I was like, oh snap, I gotta fight this man. And so then I started fighting Fetty, and now I'm beating him at any percent with skips. I should come back and beat you in no skips. That's probably what I should do. But that requires... I have so many things I'm thinking about doing and wanting to do that it's just difficult. Just here supporting and then all of a sudden getting dissed. Yep, that's what I'm doing. I gotta pass the time during the auto scroller, man. That's what I gotta do. It's there. Look, You really want to, like... The no skips will never happen? Oh. Dang. Dang. That, oh. The challenge is there and real. That's, ooh. Oh, man. Oh, man. The urge. Either way, though, even if I don't bop you in no skips, you'll never bop me in this game, so it's fine. Alright, so this level is entered now. It's fun, panicky stage. We only have about a minute left, but now we have these catapults that we have to deal with. These catapults can two-shot you, and that's terrifying. It is kind of terrible, and so I have to be very careful with my positioning to make sure that I'm still running around and kicking down ladders without getting hit by these catapults. No skips is your baby, but you don't even have record in it. How can it be your baby if you don't have record? I'm really curious to how you respond to that. Gosh, I love the friendly competition we have in this community. That's what's motivated me to keep playing. We've always, like, I would not have ran Spider, like, I love speedrunning. I love pushing games farther. That's something that I've always loved to do. But, like, I'll admit it, I'm a very competitively motivated person. So if somebody starts beating my time, I want to beat them. And so when Fetty came out and was like, yo, I'm going to do this, I'm going to beat you, then I was like, no, you're not. And then he beat me because I'm not as good at no skips as Fetty is. But it's fine. Wonder who routed the route the world record holder is using. Hey, it doesn't matter how good your route is if you can't execute it. I've seen people with worse routes do better than people with better routes. Just saying. Alright, so we've now finished the auto-scroller portion of this run, and now we're going to go into one of, arguably, these last two levels are arguably the most difficult levels in the entire run. Because what happens is, it is another level that's going to appear to be like an auto-scroller, but it actually is not. It's another level that is one that will go faster the faster we take out enemies. So, like any good soldier, I'm going to have like 5 phantom arrows in a row. So if I could have somebody please clip that for me, that would be wonderful, because that's also never happened before. Which actually kind of makes me a little nervous for my arrows, so I'm going to like lead these guys just out a little bit, so that way I can get me an arrow drop. Alright, there we go. Now we're set back to the way we want to be. So we're going to be dealing with a ton of waves of enemies. Right now, it's not going to look like a lot. In a couple of seconds, like now, this is when things get spicy. That was rough. So we're going to panic a little bit. Beautiful. Gorgeous. Jump back, cancel this. Take that guy out. Boom. Oh, okay. That guy burned. Thank goodness. Gonna wait. Boom. Again, I'm waiting these waves out very specifically, so that way I can use the explosions to my advantage. And since I don't have sappers, then I'm just forced to get into perfect mode, jump back, cancel, so that way this guy doesn't hit me. And then use my bow to finish off all of the other enemies. And depending on the wave also will depend on what abilities you're going to want to use. That was really good. Wait, a guy got past? Huh? That's strange. Alright. Whatever. Alright, so we're getting to aggressive shield boys. And all the waves in this level as well are the same. So it is kind of simple to understand the spawns and being able to adjust to them. It's not foolproof because you still have, like, enemies might be the same waves every single time, but it doesn't mean they're going to take the same paths every time. They're still as random as AI can be in an action RPG style game. And so that's something that is constantly have to be thought about while doing this level. Just do that to do some iframe abuse. Wait for these guys to get closer. Boom. There's probably going to be a couple enemies that are going to be through. Okay. So now we've kind of hit like what I call the chaos part, which is where enemies are just going to kind of keep spawning. But thankfully, we have our explosive sappers to be able to deal with these enemies that are just constantly spawning. And so as long as we just keep them blowing up, then our enemies will be consistently dying and we'll be able to get through the level. That is if this guy will actually die. But apparently, him dying was not an option. I don't understand that, but it's fine. Use my Wilderness Rage, take out that guy. Okay, I hit him, which is good, but I didn't do exactly what I wanted to. There we go. Alright, so we're going to have a troll that is going to spawn here. We're kind of standing out because wood trolls like to throw logs, but we want to bait him so that way he comes out and we can hit him with our Wrath of Numenor. And now I'm going to try very hard to kind of stall this sapper, and this is not going great. It might work fine. If I can get this sapper push, that'll be great. If that works out well and he explodes the way I want him to, great. If not, whatever. Alright, so... Okay, it wasn't exactly the way I wanted it to be, which is fine. Oh, there's a fire pit, and I'm stuck in the fire. Nope, we're fine. We are in perfect mode, which is what I want. We have a really bad fire pit spawns, which is not actually as bad as I thought it was going to be. Okay. And catapult is down. That was actually a really dang good catapult. Holy cow. That catapult can be really difficult because the strat is to get into perfect mode and then utilize my Wrath of Numenor to take it out quickly. But sometimes it doesn't like to play nice, and thankfully it played very nice, and I'm very happy with how that went. So we're gonna just mash through this cutscene here, and this is why I talk about the EXP. This is the longest tally screen in the entire game. It takes a long time to get through. And there is no way we can speed it up. But we now get to go into the last level in the run, which is Helm's Deep Hornburg Courtyard. So how this level will work is this level is Chaos Incarnate. there are going to be enemies all over the place. And we're going to be doing a ton of Isildur's judgments to take out enemies quickly, because we can do a multitude of things. We can get into perfect mode quickly, we can destroy shields, and we can do a lot of damage. And the more damage we do, the faster enemies die, and which is the goal. So, and then once we are in perfect mode, we can utilize our bow to take out as many enemies that come by. We're going to be kind of doing some like funky positioning in this level, because we want enemies to focus on the gate, because if they focus on the gate, then their back will be to us. If their back isn't to us, shield guys aren't going to want to die right away. But if their back is to us, then I can shoot them in the back with my bow and take them out quickly. Now, we are going to be doing... Hornburg Courtyard is a level that we all do not understand. We know that it is a level that progresses based on enemies, but we don't know how many enemies, what type of enemy, or how it all works. So that's a little unfortunate to deal with, but again, it's fine. Now we're going to be doing the one and only actual like skip in the run. There is a cutscene that plays after you save Legolas, and we are going to try and skip it. I haven't had the best of luck with it recently, so we're going to see how this goes. I might play it just a little bit safer than I'm used to, just to try and ensure that I do get it. I'm going to kill him. I'm not going to shoot that guy. So while Legolas is fighting that Uruk-hai, we're going to just run. We're going to say, see you later, Legolas. Have fun storming the castle, whatever it is you like to do. And then we're going to run over here, and if I can get the right angle... I want to try and shoot the Uruk-hai from down here. But unfortunately, the angle is not wanting to be my friend. Okay, there we go. Alright. So now that we've got that, and Gimli has yelled Uruk-hai, that does advance us to the next phase. Normally, there would be this cutscene that would play of Gimli going absolutely ham, but thanks to a runner named Rylan Hand, we are able to skip it, and now just immediately get back into killing enemies. It was something that he originally discovered with Legolas, and then he realized it was possible with Aragorn, but we didn't really know how it worked, because what we would do is we would just kill the enemies with Legolas's burning arrows, and we could run past the trigger a lot easier. And then we thought the trick was having to set enemies on fire, but then that ended up not being the case. And so then another runner named Katru just decided, yo, I'm just going to let Legolas take this last guy out to get the cutscene skip. And it ended up being crazy consistent outside of that little moment there. Also, we're in the final minute of the run, so time is going to be coming up here relatively soon. We're going to be fighting these berserkers. This is probably one of the biggest areas of run killers in this game, because these berserkers are terrible to fight in crowds, and so we have to be... Oh gosh! Yep, that is a health drop in the air. Alright, cool. So, time is going to come up once I take out these last two trolls.
They're about to smash the barricade.
And time. Yo, and I just golded my split there to end. That's cool. But that is Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, Aragorn Easy. Still underestimate even with a game crash. That is amazing. Okay, so how much time did I lose to the crash? That's the important part that I want to look at. So I don't know what that... I lost... I don't know exactly how to calculate that. I guess I'd have to just calculate that time. But either way, thank you guys again so much for watching this run. It is a super fun game to show off. It is my favorite speed game of all time. If you guys want to watch more of me doing Lord of the Rings content, please do follow me on Twitch and subscribe to my YouTube. And as always, thank you guys for being a part of this absolutely incredible marathon. And I'll see you guys back here tomorrow with the sequel game, The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. Enjoy, everybody.